Yeah, right? After the release. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. And we just got it. Yes. Okay. So, get the better. It's a next one. Trying to take the part. This one is speaking of something as well. Arrangements. So, which project is the second topic? I mean, it's starting from the second topic. Let's start the session. So, Mohammed, is your video and everything set up? So, background set up? Okay. I'm going to release the audio. I don't know who this is. I don't know. It's not supposed to be. I'm trying to figure out what's this. No, it's okay. So I have three different colors. One is something like a picture. Then other one is checking the one. And the other one is connected to the one. Which one I have most? So check out the sometimes we say that it's an issue. So it's sitting for us. There. But that's weird. Yes. So it's back to the one of the other things. If it's possible. So really, the body of something. Yes, the one character supplied for Jason. Are you ready? Yeah. I'll be sure. That's great. That's great. Then it will find it. No, no time. No problem. I'm going to no purpose. Special. Yes, okay. சொல்றாங்க பேர் Okay, that's all. Okay. That's the
மீட்டிங் பாரு மீட்டிங் பாரு
stuff over to you.
சரி
how excited I'm here with us. About the people's ability on this language statement. On this finance of the okay, you're so proud of every single one that grace which these are going to be best. So, I'm going to have the best. Yes, like that. And I tried. Tell you this stations benefit from opportunities. We're not going to be incredibly students that are from I don't know voice even though yes. You know, primary is for us expand we don't have I don't have actually we don't have them here. I just think
யார்ரா அவன் இன்னும் எதுவுமே பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறான். யூடியூப் லிங்க் அனுப்பிச்சு விட்டாச்சு, எல்லாம் பண்ணி விட்டாச்சு. என்னடா பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கான் அவன்? உங்க இதுல என்னவாடா இருக்காங்க? நான் வயசா இருந்தா வந்துட்டு இப்படியாடா பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பான். ஒரு பொறுப்பு வேணாம். அனுப்பிச்சு விட்டு கால் பண்றேன், எடுக்க மாட்டேங்கிறான், இது பண்றேன், இது பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறான். மெசேஜ் பண்ணா அதோட சரி, லேப்ல பண்ணலாமா போன்ல பண்ணலாமான்னு மெசேஜ் பண்ணி விட்டு அதோட நிக்கிறான். உடனே எனக்கு கால் பண்ண சொல்லுவாங்க. மீட்டிங் ஆரம்பிச்சு போயிட்டு இருக்கு, அவனை யூடியூப் லைவ்ல பார்க்க சொல்லலான்னு பார்த்தா என்னடா தம்பி நீ யாரையாவது கரெக்டான ஆளாவது போட்டிருக்கலாம்ல நீ. சரி என்ன உடனே போன் அடிக்க சொல்லு அவனை.
Such as new energy systems, infrastructure that can start directly feed the goods. So we can see it. So we can get the investment. So this very expensive fantasy. Another plus is the ministers today are representing Europe's we talk about the well, I witness the ships. It is that it comes fast episodes. I don't know that nations once so
Yes, sir.
The least, the financing the complex transition to clean renewable energy will be deliberated by Suresh Seshadri representing iGen and Mr. Samrendra K. Das from JSFN, who will be joining us very soon. And the other point, the last point that we have is the financing the complex transition to clean and renewable energy will be deliberated by Dr. Bishnu Pada Bose. Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us. He has already joined us for this meeting. Thank you, Dr. Bishnu. Moving ahead, climatic finance advantage by tracking the social and economic impacts will be deliberated by Madam Haripriya, who has joined us for the session. Welcome, ma'am. And we will be joined very soon by Benan Nazan Bandora. Thank you. Moving ahead, the very last thing is building resilience to the climatic shocks is a priority. Will be deliberated by George Perklis and Daniel Chavo Kekiska. On that note, we should take, without wasting much time, over to Madam Ermina to welcome the first speaker on board. Thank you so much.
Hello to everyone. Greetings from all the people from all around the world.
Good.
Yes.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you so much.
Let's welcome the first speaker. But first of all, I want to present my platform that I represent today. International Internship University is a leading virtual education system and global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. Globally, it is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to providing better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. IIU is metamorphosing the conventional education system by cutting down the additional cost and providing access to more than 1,000 courses and internships to their learners across the globe with the help of plus 1,000 global educators. And in a short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit. And yes, we sustain the youth. Always, we have a lot of programs. Let's go to the next speaker, to the first speaker. Tanush, student, Dr. MGR Education and Research Institute, partner representative from iGen. Welcome, Sir Tanush.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, the floor is all yours, Mr. Dhanush.
Yeah.
You can share your presentation.
Okay, wait, ma'am. I will share my screen. Ma'am, your share screen means was disabled showing, ma'am.
No, it's always, yes. You should be able to share your screen now.
Here for my showing that was disabled participant screen sharing showing, ma'am.
It is enabled, dear.
For me showing like that, ma'am.
Okay. Host disabled participant sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
Virginia, please give share. Give him the permission to share multiple participants.
I'm not a host, I think. Dr. Virginia, can you give me the host?
It shows Virginia ma'am alone as host, ma'am. So the presenting people should be co-host, then only they can share the screen.
Dr. Virginia? Yes.
Your microphone is closed, Virginia.
I'm not host. Ermina is host. It doesn't
No,
allow
I'm
me.
not. You are the host. You are the host, Virginia. You are the host.
No, unfortunately, it doesn't say that I'm the host. So I made it.
Host. That's better. They'll or enable screen sharing.
If not, you can, Sir Tanush, you can tell us few words before to share, then we will manage.
Okay, ma'am.
So Dhanush, please try sharing it now.
No, ma'am, not coming. Was disabled only.
Yeah, me neither.
Dr. Virginia, can you make me the host?
I am not host, sweetheart. I am not the host. I don't have the power anymore. I gave it to so we'll look into it. Ermina is the host right now.
You give the power to iGen, Niranjan.
Virginia ma'am is acting as a host, ma'am. Let others be co-host. Then only we can make them to share the screen.
Can we make others as co-host?
Okay, I don't have the power to be host right now. I gave it to Ermina. So right now, all I can do is remove spotlight, pin, edit profile, and rename. I don't have the hosting power.
You can click on my name and make me host, Virginia. Click on my name. Click on my name. And make me host.
You are host.
No, I'm not. Now I am host. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay.
Thank you, Virginia.
You can make them as a co-host, ma'am.
Now, Miss Armina, can you make the speaker?
Now you can share your screen. You can share your screen.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you,
Mr.
Virginia.
Dhanush, please try now. Yeah. Keep your camera on.
Yes, ma, your screen is visible. The screen is visible, ma.
Okay, ma'am. Renaming to another person here. Myself, Tanush from Dr. MGR Research Institute. Currently studying third year CAC DSNA. And then Vice Chairman of...
Please have your camera on.
Camera on, ma'am.
We are getting Dr. Virginia's picture on the side screen.
Camera on, ma'am.
Yes, camera is on only, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Please go ahead, Mr. Dhanush.
Okay, ma'am. Now I'm going to present a topic about how can we improve the coherence and coordination in the delivery of climate change financing. As we all know that climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our time and is required to constant effort from all the stakeholders to address it. In this presentation, I will provide this. These are outline. First, we see the abstract. Abstract here, I will provide the overview of the climate change financing, discuss the current state of coherence and coordination, highlight and challenge what are challenges are to us, and then best practice for improving the coherence and coordination. And then I will also describe the role of the international organization and then national government and the private sector to improve the coherence and coordination. Finally, I will provide some of the case studies that have successfully improved the coordination in the climate change financing. So let's see here overview of climate change. According to an international framework, Convention on Climate Change, climate finance refers to local, national, or transnational financing drawn from public, private, and alternative sources of financing that seek to support migration and adaptation action that will address climate change. Climate finance is needed for migration because large-scale investment are required to significantly reduce emission. As you have seen the graph, as you all see that the green line indicated the increasing trends of clean energy investment, while the red line showed that fossil fuel investment was stable but starting to decline after 2020. So climate finance is equally important for adaptation as significant financial resources are needed to adapt to the adverse effect and reduce the impact of the changing climate. Next, we see the current state of coherence coordination. According to international framework, Convention on Climate Change, by improving this coherence coordination by delivery of climate change, financial is essential to ensure that financial resources are used effectively to address climate change. However, there are several challenges achieving this lack of such as lack of transparency, accountability, and the trust among the stakeholders. In addition, there are gaps in the availability of data, information, and the climate finance flow, which made it difficult to track the progress and identify area for improvement. This challenge there have been several initiatives aimed for improving coherence and coordination in the climate change financing, such as Standing Committee on Finance established by UNFCCC. The SCFS identifies several activities to improve coherence and coordination, such as developing common standard, enhancing communication and collaboration, and promoting knowledge sharing. So here the 8th meeting of Standard Committee Finance on Germany, they done this. After this, let's now see the challenges. What are the challenges after while we are improving this coherence and coordination? There are so many challenges like the trust among the stakeholders, like this absence of a common reporting framework. In addition, there are gaps in the ability of the data and information on climate finance flow, which made it difficult to track the progress and identify area for improvement. Despite the challenges, there have been several initiatives and that improving coordination in the climate change finance, such as we already seen the Standard Committee on Finance, SDG is established by United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The SDG has identified several activities like we already see for how this SDG was improved coherence and coordination by the common standard, enhancing communication and collaborating, providing knowledge sharing. So let's now we see the best practice. What are practice author done improving the coherence, coordination, climate change as established. We can establish the clear policy framework and regulate mechanism at the national level, promoting transparency and accountability and building trust among stakeholders. The private sector can also play a critical role in improving coherence, coordination by adopting sustainable business practice and the corporate social responsibility. As you see the draft here, this is REDD means reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation. This is a top 10 countries funded in the period of 2006 to 2022. The initiative provides financial incentive to developing country to reduce the greenhouse gas emission by preserving their forest. Okay, let's now we see the role of international organization. What are the role for international organization? What are things that they are doing? As we see in the UNFCCC is one such organization that been instrumental in improving this coherence, coordination, climate change financing. By they already established the several financial mechanisms such as Green Climate Fund, GCC, and then Global Environment Facility, and then they provide a financial resources to develop in countries for climate change, migration, and adaptation. The UNFCCC has also established the Standing Committee on Finance. As we already seen, this was identified under several activity to improve this by the common standard, enhancing the communication and the collaboration, promoting knowledge. As you have seen, this draft was named as a falling short. At 613 billion a year, climate finance is a fraction of what needed for developing country. This draft we need to maintain in the 1.5 Celsius pathway for developing country. Next we see the role of the national government. What are the role for national government and able to tackle the climate change? The national government play a critical role in the climate change financing by creating a policy framework and the regulatory mechanism that promote coherence, coordination among the stakeholders. For example, national government can establish clear guidelines for climate finance reporting and the monitoring, which can help improve the transparency and accountability. National government can also allocate funding to priority in the national action, such as to set off the national climate pledge, refer to the national department contribution under the Paris Agreement. Other issues are written down to fund this project. In addition, national government work with the international organizations and the private sector to develop the innovative financing mechanism that can mobilize additional resources for climate change, migration, and adaptation. Okay, next we see the role of the private sector. The role of private sector in the climate change adaptation, as that private sector also plays a critical role in the climate change financing by adapting sustainable business practice and the corporate social responsibility. Private entities can also contribute to climate change financing by providing funding, product, and then service for reduction. In addition, private entities can help to improve coherence, coordination by collaborating with the national government and the international government to develop the innovative financing mechanism that can mobilize additional resources for climate change, migration, and adaptation. So, okay, now let's see some of the case studies that was successfully initiated and then improved the coherence and coordination in the climate change finance. Here I mentioned three case study. First one is a Green Climate Fund. The GCF is a financial mechanism established under United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change to support developing countries in their effort to migrate and adapt to climate change. The GCF has approved more than 170 projects in over 1,000 countries with a total investment of $10 billion. Let's see the second Climate Investment Fund. The CIF is multilateral climate financial mechanism that provides funding to developing countries for climate change, migration, and adaptation. The CIF has supported more than 300 projects in 72 countries with a total investment of over $8 billion. Now let's see the Global Environment Facility. The GEF has supported more than 4,000 projects in over 170 countries with a total investment of over $17. Okay, let's see now finally in the conclusion. Now we've seen how can we improve the coherence, coordination, delivery of climate change financing. Financing is essential to ensure that financial resources are used effectively to address climate change. In this presentation, we discussed the different type of climate change financing, the current state of the current state and the best practice, and then we also described the role of the international organizations, national governments, and the private sectors. And also, as we've seen, there are several challenges in achieving the coherence, but there have always been several successful initiatives aimed at improving the coherence. It is important that we can work together to improve this coherence, coordination, and climate finance, and ensure that we leave a sustainable planet for the future generation. Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh sir, for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this Agent COP 2030 speaker. Thank you all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tanu. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have to say that your presentation was very clear, and I think it was a perfect one to start because we definitely know that really making green finance available to everybody is key to improve. And just explaining a little bit more, green finance means to all those financial services that really allow us to make our countries and our planet more sustainable. So we're going to be listening to this going forward, but I'm very, very happy that you were the first one because you really made us understand what green financing is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to invite Dr. Lakshmi to summarize your presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. Lakshmi, we can, thank you for the pleasure.
I am very happy to conclude about the presentation given by K. Dhanush. He has given a wonderful presentation about assistance in improving the coherence and coordination in the delivery of climate change financing, which is a very need for this present situation worldwide. So he has given an overview of the climate change financing, and in that he has given the information about the global energy investment and what are the things that is mitigation and the equal importance of adapting the financial resources and adapting the advanced effects and all, and the current state of coherence and coordination. He has given the reports of the reports and discussion about the climate finance at COP27, and he has given the challenges to coherence and coordination, which is being developed by the country's fund and the special climate change fund. And he has explained about the 7th meeting of Standing Committee of Finance Bond, which has been held in the German in 2014. And he has given some best practices which are being used to improve the coherency and coordination. He has given the highlight case study about the top 10 countries who are about the status of the Standing Committee on Finance and the role of all the international organizations, and in which he has explained about what is a climate finance and why we go for climate finance, and those information he has given. And overall role of the national government, that is the pivotal role of the climate change, what is the government has to take place, those things have been explained by him. And also the role of the private sector, the role of the government sector and the private sector he has explained in clear. And he has taken some of the case studies like Green Climate Fund, Climate Investment Fund, and Global Environment Facility. And finally, he concluded with all this information. Thank you, Dhanush. A wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lakshmi, thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lakshmi. Great. Great done. I invite now the next speaker, Kumbi Muafiq, founder of CMN Microfinance, partner representative of GSFN. Welcome, Dr. Muafiq.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Thank you, everyone.
The stage is yours. The virtual stage is yours.
Okay, I want a problem here. Like, I can't set up my background. I don't know what the problem is. So
You can start your presentation. You can start your presentation, Mr. Chikumbi.
Okay, I'm coming.
Should we go to the next speaker and then we come back to you, Mr. Chikumbi? Is that okay?
Yes, it's fine. It's fine.
And we'll manage the problems.
Okay, we invite
Yes,
the next speaker, Ms. Erika.
Yes, now I want to invite with us another great speaker, Mohammed Fahim Ahmed, student, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute, partner representative from iGen. Welcome, Dr. Mohammed.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to see people from various corners of the world here today. It's truly inspiring to have such a diverse group of professionals gathered here. I believe our collective experiences will contribute to this rich discussion. So shall I present my presentation?
The virtual stage is yours.
Okay. So here we go. So I believe you guys can see my presentation, right?
Yes, it's visible. You can go ahead.
Okay. So my topic is about the climate finance, assessing the COP in rationalization of the financial mechanism of UNFCCC. So basically, what is happening over here? The UNFCCC is an international treaty that aims to address the climate change. The financial mechanism is a key component of the UNFCCC that helps fund project activities related to climate change mitigation and adaptation. So, who am I? Let's get to that later. As you guys have a basic introduction of me, we'll get to later who am I. Okay. So what we are going to see over here right now, we are going to see over here the introduction, challenges, rational strategies, and analysis. So introduction. So what is my topic about? The main my topic is actually about the rationalization of the financial mechanism of UNFCCC, which is basically supporting the conference of parties in streamlining or making the financial mechanism of United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change. Guys, when I tell this, you guys don't understand anything. Believe me, I know that. But the term rationalization over here, what does that even mean? That means that it is the process of making the financial mechanism more logical, coherent, and well organized. This could involve the existing financial structures, procedures, and policies, and making adjustments to enhance their efficiency, transparency, and impact. The goal here is to ensure that financial resources allocated to the UNFCCC are used optimally to change and address the challenges posed by climate change. So what is climate finance? Basically, we all know what is climate finance. They refer to the funding provided to and supported by action. But what is actually climate finance? It is the money for cutting the emissions and coping with the climatic impact, key for greening and protecting our beloved planet. So next, I would like to quote. President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, who had quoted this on the COP 2026. COP top 26, which is there can be no effective climatic policy without without peace. There are still many for whom climate change is rhetoric or marketing, but not real action. They are the ones who start war of aggression when the planet cannot afford a single gunshot because it needs global joint action. What a wonderful word spoken by our president, by the president of Ukraine. So the financial mechanism of timeline. So how have everything started? Everything started beginning. It just started beginning from 1992. The UNFCCC adoption. The UNFCCC adoption is adopted at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, establishing the framework for addressing the climate change. Financial mechanisms are part of the convention. And then in 1994, we have the Global Environment Facility establishment. And in 2010, we had the Green Climate Fund establishment, which is established as a financial mechanism under the UNFCCC to support developing countries in climate mitigation and adaptation. And in 2000, we had a major breakout, which is our Paris Agreement, which results in outlining the financial provisions and mechanisms for climate change. So then in 2016, we have the first replenishment of this GCF. The first replenishment of GCF, the donor pledged funds to the GCF, marking the first replenishment cycle to provide financial support. And in 2018, we had the Talogna Dialogue, which was the part of the COP process, which includes discussion on climatic finance and enhancing support. And in 2019, we had the GCF Replenishing Conference, which held its first replenishing conference to secure additional funds for the climatic projects. And in 2021, in Glasgow, we had addressed the climate financial issues, including to effort up and scale up the financial support for developing countries. So basically, in 2021, we had a major breakout and we had collected funds around $800 billion, which were supposed to be for the climatic change and which helps and maintains our UNFCCC's guidelines. And next, what are the challenges of the existing financial mechanism? The challenges of the financial mechanism right now we are facing is fragmented landscape, complex access, and limited responsiveness. What is this term what is this term in financial mechanism called fragmented landscape? Everyone might think it is nothing but the multiple funds and institutes overlap with overlapping mandates, leading to confusion and redundancy. And when it proceeds, it gets to another problem, which is the complex access. Developing countries often face cumbersome application processes and eligibility criteria, hindering access to vital resources. And then when that process is completed, we have limited responsiveness, which is actually a major criteria where the mechanism struggles to adapt the emerging priorities and changing country needs. Now this is the point where we come to my topic, the rationalization strategies. One of the rational strategies is streamlining the architecture. The streamlining architecture, this can be, what can we say? This can be done in a three-way approach. The three-way approach has simplification, enhanced coordination, and improved impact. This is nothing but streamlining the redundant funds and bodies, harmonizing the mandates to eliminate overlaps, and institutes the transparent lines of accountability with effective through existing bureaucratic means, and then enhancing the communication and information flow among stakeholders, spanning developed countries, nation, as well as the public and private entities, which will cultivate and improve the collaboration and resource allocation. And then we have a rationalized architecture, which is the improved impact. A rationalized architecture which must provide measurable outcomes, implementing robust monitoring and evaluation of frameworks to track the efficiency of the financial support. Next, the other thing, I have mentioned about the eligibility criteria over there, and which was difficult for people to overcome. So to simplify that, we can make a simplifying access to enforced consolidate funds and harmonizing the eligibility, create a centralized application platform, streamlining the approval process, and enhancing the transparency and accountability. So by consolidating the funds and harmonizing eligibility, we can combine the redundant funds and align eligibility criteria to the to streamline the funding and ease the application burdens, and then create a centralized application platform, streamlining the access to funds, creating a user-friendly portal which offers support and guidance for easy application and guidance. After that, we can fast track through the standard decision and simplified reporting. After when the process is done, the last week comes to the transparency and accountability, where we can track, review, and adjust transparent funding flows, regular evaluations, and optimize impact. And this is the analysis from till now. The breakdown of UNFCCC mechanism since the beginning. So for now, only 64% has been allotted to which is the majority of the donations has been given to the global environmental facility. And in the second place, we have the 34th percentile, which is the 60 GCF, the Green Climate Fund, and the 2% for the least developed countries fund and Special Climatic Change Fund. This 2% is applied because of the simplified access. There is no simplified access. As the people who tried to get the money or donations on time, they weren't able to pass through the eligibility criteria that they had been facing this issue. By my projected results on my research, I can tell that we can save cost efficiency up to 44% and transparency up to 42% and responsiveness up to 35%. This is just a statistical review on approach which I believe, but there are so many other key factors to even consider. This is just a small extract of it. So let's all remember that. So, and finally, we are coming to the end of this portion where I'm introducing myself. I am from Dr. MGR University and an IGEN member. And I would actually love I love to be a part of this. And I would thank IGEN for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Maybe request you to stop sharing, dear. Thank you. Thank you so much. We can have your video on. Maybe we could.
Oh, great.
Mati? Very interesting.
Amazing. Amazing presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe request Dr. Zakira.
Yes.
Ma'am, I will represent. Dr. Lakshmi will represent now.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Please go ahead, Dr. Lakshmi.
Yes, ma'am. He has explained about the climate finance, which is assisting the COP in rationalization of the financial mechanism of UNFCCC. So, what is UNFCCC? It is assisting. United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is a UNFCCC. He explained about the explanation about this UNFCCC, which is incorporated in assisting the COP also, he has explained. And he told about the climate finance. What is climate finance? That is, we are getting the funding provided by the supporting projects and actions, how the actions are going to be taking place, and mitigation, and the climate finance, which come from various sources, and what is the role of this climate finance in climate change. He has told in a very good manner. And he explained about this climate finance about UNFCCC starting from 1992 till 2015, and how it has been taken place, the Global Environment Facility and establishment, and also about the Green Climate Fund establishment. Finally, the Paris Agreement has been explained by him. And the next, he has explained about the challenges of the existing financial mechanism. Under that, he has subdivided the fragment landscape, complex access about the funding of all, and what are the limited responsibilities of each and everyone has been explained by him, and the rationalization strategies. Under that, he has explained some 3 points. There is simplification, enhanced coordination, and what are the improved impact about that. Finally, he explained about the simplifying access, how we can consolidate the funds, and harmonic eligibility, what are the eligibility to be required, and how to enhance the transparency and accountability of the finance system, and how to create a centralized application platform to all, and after creation, how to streamline for approval process, and everything has been explained in a simplified way. Finally, he has given about the analysis about this system, And in terms of the percentage, he has explained about the Green Climate Fund and also LDCF and SECF. Finally, about the GEF, and he explained about the projected result on the renewable sources, how much cost it has been taking place, and how much transparent it is, and the response from the audience has been explained by him in clear way. Thank you. Mohammed Fahim Ahmed, thank you, Pa.
Thank you for
Yeah,
giving me this
nice
opportunity,
one.
ma'am. Thank you.
Would you like to say
Excellent.
something, Mr. Mohammed? Would you like to add on?
No. Yeah, I will actually actually thrilled for this event happening over here, and I would like to thank each and everyone over here to give me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
thrilled with you, Mr. Mohammed. It's wonderful having here. So we are very much impressed about your presentation and the real hard work that you have really put in. Dr. Virginia, would you like to add a few points about that? Dr. Virginia, we would like to hear from you, please.
Thank you so much. And I think that we can't really reinforce enough the importance of green financing and making sure that for all the projects that are happening, that we continue to support. So I really understood, and like I said before with the first presentation, the second one, it's really helping us get a better picture. And I think that is exactly why we're here. It's really to educate all of us, and so thank you so much for such a clear presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So moving forward, is Mr. Chikumbi Mafafi is ready. Chikumbi Wafi, Mr. Chikumbi Wafi, I believe that you're ready by now. Would you like to do the presentation without a video? Mr. Chikumbi? Okay. Okay.
Vidya, we can go to the Dr. Vishnu. If Mr. Chikumbi don't have
Atia Hussain is the next one in the line. Can we check for Ms. Atia Hussain if she's around?
Mr. Atia.
Ms. Atia Hussain.
Great. Then I am happy to present Ms. Atia Hussain, advocate, women's rights partner. Welcome,
I think Dr. Bishru should go in.
Okay.
Welcome, Dr. Vishnu. Ms. Atia, are you there?
Dr. Bishru.
May I know who is interrupting in between? I heard some voice in between. Who is that? I heard somebody talking in between. Who was that?
Mr. Vishnu is there.
Okay. So we'll go ahead with Mr.
Mr. Vishnu, welcome.
Mr. Vishnu, would you like to present it now?
For sure, because Ms. Atia is not.
Dr. Bishru.
I heard somebody talking again. I may have to remove you from the group now.
No, I'm sorry. Don't remove me. I was just seeing if Mr. Bishru was ready to present.
Who is that? I just want to know. Who is that?
Yeah, it's JJ. Hi, I'm JJ.
Okay. JJ, we respect your presence. We would love to have you here throughout the program. And I'm sorry, you'll have to follow the norms as others are doing. Kindly mute yourself and your video, please.
My bad.
Thank
I
you.
apologize.
We really appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Vishnu, sorry for this interruption. Please go ahead.
If you let me to present him, dear Vidya.
Yes. Sorry, Ms.
Welcome.
Please.
Yes, welcome Dr. Vishnu Padabose, PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, India, partner representative from GSF, and the stage is yours here.
Dr. Vishnu, please go ahead.
Screen is visible to all of you?
Yes, it's quite visible. Yes. Please go ahead, sir. Thank you so much. It's lovely having you here on this platform, and the whole platform is all yours. Thank you.
Yes. Very good evening, good afternoon to all of you. I express my sincere thanks and gratitude that I have given scope to present my topic here. So thank you so much. So this is my topic, the Global Institute towards Climate Financing. 1 minute. Yes, sorry. So this is the things, the global initiative, the past history or past events, that what globally global leaders or countries initiative has taken place in the previous 50 years back, from 50 years back, that put first Stockholm Conference 1972, that is mainly to develop global collaboration on environmental development. Then Barnland Commission 1987. This is also talk about the sustainable development or save the planet Earth. Again, the third major conference, United Nations Conference on Environmental Development, Rio de Janeiro. It is also talk about environmental, eliminate the environment pollution and develop the environment and focus towards sustainable development. Then again on COP1. So the COP1 mainly to monitor the climate change process, that in a larger newly industrialized country would together be among the largest emitters of the greenhouse gases. The COP1 was thereafter set adoption of a legally binding obligation to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So this is also talk about mitigate the global warming, climate change process, reduce the greenhouse gases, etc. And initiatives taken by the COP1 started, and still it is a COP28 urgent date. Then again COP2, that is also talk about the climate change initiative, sustainable development, all are related things. Then coming to the Kyoto protocols, that is actually major treaty on carbon credit process between developed country and developing countries. So Kyoto Protocol is an international treaty that aims to reduce greenhouse gas emission that contribute to the global warming. The treaty was adopted in 1997 and entered into the force in 2005. Then COP is up to date. The COP assesses the effect of measures introduced by the parties to limit climate change. So this is going on. Now, if we see the past history, before pre-industrialization time, CO2, mainly carbon dioxide, amount was 278 ppm, or as on 216 to 403 ppms. However, the potential is 1 is considered by the research and R&D, but scientists have come out with the research that is potential of the CO2 is 1, but CO2 concentration is measured in the atmosphere. So again, this is the scenario pre-industrial time and present time. I mean 2016 data. Methane now 114, nitrous oxide 6.48, and fluoride gases, it is very dangerous thing, 1.48. Potential is very high. So fossil fuel, coal and oil are by the far largest contributor to the global climate change process, accounting over 75% of the global greenhouse gas emission and nearly 90% of carbon dioxide emissions. As greenhouse gas emission blanket for Earth, they trap the sunset. That is the common phenomenon of the global warming. Coming to the next slide. This is the brief things. It shows that human activities is the major accelerator to in the process of global warming. So of course now human Earth global community has taken different initiatives to mitigate this process or eliminate the effect, etc. So this is the scenario. This chart is showing that human activities towards global warming is a major area, a major quantity, major contributors. And natural system is, of course, it is a natural process. It is not our hand, but it is a not so big issues. Among the different element in the global warming process or climate change process, energy is contributing 73.2%. Because as we know that when industrialization started in the world, the fossil fuel and minerals are using for this process. And fossil fuels and minerals, I mean coal, it is a rich carbon. So of course it traps the heat and it accelerates the global warming. So that's what the energy considered as per the research data, 73.2% contributor for the global warming. Non-renewable energy sector alone contributes 73.2% of global warming. That's what the global leader has taken initiative to shifting towards non-renewable to renewable energy. And that has been underway. From thermal power plant to clean energy process, nuclear power, wind, solar, etc. And at the same time, electric battery-driven vehicle, all are initiative taken to eliminate these issues. Shifting towards renewable energies and renewable resources. Sustainable development and global climate change issues. Climate change issues is a part of the sustainable development. So climate action is a key opportunity to advance the sustainable development goals. So climate finance linked with the SDGs. So it is a major aspect because it is not so easy process that elimination of the effect of the climate change. And different mechanism is involved in this process, like shifting towards renewable sources and at the same time automation of the industries, resource optimizations, resource circulation, many things involved in this process, in innovative approach or everything. So this is the climate change in turn developing such towards way towards sustainable development goal. Climate change adaptation and mitigation. So frequently we have talked about climate financing for the adaptation and mitigation process. So this is the things. Mitigation focuses on reducing the causes of climate change, and while adaptation focuses on reducing the effect of climate change. So we need the finance in these two major areas, mitigation and adaptation, because already temperature has raised in an extreme condition. Everything is not under control of the human community. So we have to pay for this. Now we take the initiative to reduce adaptation and mitigation process. For that, huge financial help or financial assistance required for the developing countries or underdeveloped countries. This is the research data of the 2022. CO2 emission is 33.9 here, showing over here. And all our related data is here. Fossil fuel 80%, everything is there. It is the research data. And same pictures in 2030 projections. At scientists has guessed that they are through their statistical analysis or different mechanism, this would be the projection at 2030. And 2050, the zero emission, their projection as per their research outcome. So this is our this should be our approach. We reach to the zero emission, net zero emission. So this is a three figure over here again. We have to reach over here net zero emission. For that, the process is adaptation, mitigation is the main concern, and finance also need for this mobilization, this process. Now this is the area where finance needs. A global annual average energy investment needs by sector and technology on the net zero emissions. This amount finance needs, if we really like to go towards net zero emission in 2050. So this is the things we have to go with. We have to take initiative to make it success. And already first world country and others, many countries has taken initiatives because they already shifted towards renewable resources, renewable energies, electric vehicles, and they also apply circular economic process. At the same time, community development, rural entrepreneurship, technology development, research and development, all are connected to these initiatives. Climate change mitigation, where we are now, this is the things that climate finance refers to local and national and transitional financing drawn from the public, private, and alternative source of financing that seeks to support mitigation adaptation actions that will address climate change. This is the common definition of climate financing. Now coming to the point, according to the IPCC, keeping global temperature rise below 1.5 degree as set out in the Paris Agreement, investment in renewable must triple to 1.3 trillion annually by 2030. So cumulative investment is required, but one research data is showing that in 2022, for renewable energy, 0.4 trillion investment is there, I mean finance is there. So that should increase in these portions as per the IPCC projections. This is another data of present status of the climate financing. At 2022, this amount of financing has been already in the field. $1,265 billion US. And this is the gap. As per the UNFCCC report, this should not be here, but it is the gap. So certainly jump is not possible. So immediate action is needed to fill up this gap. Inaction of the global leaders, we have to pay a large amount in the coming future. So this is one gap is there. So global initiatives or global policy needs to fill up this gap because there should not be any deficit to mobilize the fund towards climate change mitigation process or adaptation. In an average scenario, the annual climate finance needed through 2030 increased steadily from 0.81 to 0.9, 9 trillion US. Then estimated needs jumped to over 10 trillion US each year from 2031 to 2050. This means that the climate finance must increase by at least 5-fold annually as quickly as possible to avoid the worst impact of climate change. This is the very critical data that published. In 2022, we are here, but we need finance in this line. So certainly jump also critical things, but immediate action is needed by the global leaders or organizations, related concerned organization. That is the major red area. This kind of investment is required if we reach to reach to goal of Paris Agreement 1.5 degree, or if we wish to go reach our goal net zero emission 2050. So this much of finance is needed immediately. So that's what her projection also mentioned up to 2050. 2030 line also here and present data also here. This this amount of gap is not favorable in the context of climate financing, but immediately action is needed to fill up the gap. Mobilization fund is very urgent now. This is similar data, but I have mentioned that public private financing here, but the same data I have seen the last slide. Future climate finance necessary to maintain 1.5 degrees Celsius pathway. This is CPI analysis research data. They are published data that overall economical loss or overall loss we have to pay if we are failed to reach fulfill the goal of 1.5 degrees Paris Agreement, or we are not able to achieve the goal of 1.5 degree Paris Agreement, then we have to pay for this. That scenario is a projected scenario as per their analysis. This is the 1.5 degree scenario from 2025 to 2100, and it is a business as usual scenario 2050 to 2100. If we take the initiatives, then we can avoid this amount of losses. But at the ideal situation, this should be very suitable approach. 1.5 degree scenario 2025 to 2050. This much of climate finance is needed. 266 trillion cumulative amount. If there is a deficiency or there is inaction of the global leaders or organization or concerned organization, then we have to pay for this. This estimate losses based on the direct economic impact of increased weather-related and uninsurable demand, increased production cost, productivity losses, health costs, etc. Everything is related, because consequences of the climate change or global warming is a very serious issue, very severe issues. So it is connected to all. I mean, production, increase the price of the goods, loss of the resources. We have to pay for health cost, everything. So this is the ideal scenario has published CPI analysis data. So no longer we delay the meeting total climate investment needs. The higher the cost will be, both to mitigate global temperature rise, to deal with its impact and avoid the worst impact of the climate change.
Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Vishnu.
Yes. Yes.
And how much is it more to continue?
No, one. Okay, only one.
Yeah.
The successful adoption of the Paris Agreement and achievement of the net zero emission goal are significant symbolic milestones, signaling to public and private entities the global consensus on a low carbon and climate resilient futures. Policymaker needs to tailor climate finance policies to address country specific context. The no longer we delay meeting the total climate investment needs, the higher the cost will pay for both to mitigate global temperature rise and to deal with its impact and avoid the worst impact of the climate change. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Vishnu.
Thank you.
May we request Dr. Adebisi, Ambassador Dr. Shahid Adebisi.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Waiting to hear from you, Doctor. Thank you so much. Thanks for all the support.
Thank you so much, Ale. What, Dr.
Vishnu Bose's presentation on climatic.
Thank you so much. What Dr. Vishnu actually presented was a huge lot of information loaded, and he tried to also manage his time to deliver on it. Let me quickly recap on it to grab the summary of it. He actually entered with the topic of the global initiative towards climate financing. Very, very critical point topic, and he highlighted some facts that are actually related to this very topic, which is the historical, going from the Sweden conference in Stockholm in the 87, and also the Rio de Janeiro in 92, and also the COPs that has been held at different levels up to the COP28. And he mentioned something that at the point, climate change actually entered into the discussion in 1995, which is very, very strategic. And also the consideration of the reports actually started in 96. And also the idea to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, which is where we have the point of global warming coming into the discussion, was in COP3. Then he mentioned the sources of the greenhouse gas emission, very, very critical, the CO2, the methane, the nitrous oxide, and also the fluorinated gases. And he mentioned that the three actually were related to the fossil fuel sources, which is very, very critical. And we have the fluorinated gas actually coming from the electricity refrigeration and some other elements. So that is, these are very, very strategic facts. Then he went ahead to human and natural sources of global warming, climate change, and the rest, which is very, very strategic, because majority believe that maybe we have only climate change or global warming coming from the artificial or anthropogenic activities. Well, of course, we have the natural sources. He mentioned all those things, and he has a table that actually details all those sources. And he mentioned very strategically that, yes, the drivers actually, based on sector, we have the energy sources, energy sector that is driving about 73.2% of this very greenhouse gas emission, which is very strategic. And he also mentioned further that, yes, the road to 2050 and actually to meet as the temperature below 2 degrees centigrade.
Thank you, Doctor. I think we missed Dr. Adebisi there. Yes, Ms. Ermina?
Yes, my dear, I'm here.
Yes. So
Yes,
whom are we going to call now? Is it Chukumbi or...
I think Mr. Clyde Odiambo is there. Mr. Clyde, are you there? You can hear us?
Atia Hussain has joined.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
Welcome. Let me introduce you, Mr. Clyde, co-founder and CEO Jit Toles Foundation, fellow Connecting Dreams Foundation. Welcome with us today, and the stage is yours. We are eager to see your presentation. Did you hear
Okay,
us?
thank you very much. Thank you very much. My video has been stopped, but I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Is my screen seen? I believe yes.
Now it's visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, fine. So thank you very much, everyone. Protocol observed. Nice being here to share with you all. What I believe is am I audible?
Right.
You can hear
Mr.
me?
Clyde, let me just take a
Okay,
minute.
fine.
Doctor. Dr. Adebisi, thank you so much. We lost you in between, so we call the next speaker. And Mr.
Yeah, it
Clyde,
was that
also
one.
you will have to summarize Mr. Clyde as well. Thank you, Doctor. We'll come back to you soon. Thank you. Mr. Clyde, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I was saying when every presenter was speaking, they tackled more of the impact of climate financing, and that's my topic. So I'll, not take a lot of time, but still have the presentation since I planned for it. So my name is Clyde Odiambo. My name is Clyde Odiambo.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I come from Uganda. Of course, that is in Africa. And I run a social enterprise called Toleze Foundation, but also, a global change maker of Connecting Dreams Foundation. That's about me. But of course, I want to first talk about Uganda, being among the world's most vulnerable and the least adaptable to climate change countries, with a score of 166 out of 181. That's according to the Vulnerability Index 2018. But this also as a result of dependence on natural resources, e.g. in the agriculture sector, water, energy, and fisheries. So every presenter, defined this. Climate financing being the local, national, transnational funding, which is drawn from both public, private, and all other sources. But all these financing are directly going to, looking at how to mitigate or adapt to climate change actions. Yep. But of course, we all know that climate change is a long-term shift in temperatures and weather patterns. So the first being the social and economic impacts of climate change, we all know that climate change, affects the food supplies, industry supply chains and markets, but also the damage infrastructure, cities. We all know the pollution that pollutes the water, the environment, which brings up, human health complication, but also affects the global development. So when from the previous speakers, talking about what climate financing is and, all the preamble, I believe when we get this money, we can be able to invest in projects that reduce, but also absorb, but prevent greenhouse gas emission, such as renewable energy, power plants, electric buses, forest conservation, but also projects that build resilience to climate change, such as establishing early warning systems. For example, today where I'm having this meeting from, we had black rain, and my friends thought it's a miracle. Of course, in a Christian background, people would think it's a miracle, but this is how our environment have been polluted, that even the water that comes from the rain, are now dark. So as system actors, we can't keep being there, to wait for this. There's something that has to be done. So, but also when these finances are gotten, everyone said the mitigation adaptation. So mitigating the impact of climate change and adapting to changes that are already underway. We already know the signs here, but also on they will support the global commitment. Most countries have made up these commitments, reducing the greenhouse emissions and transitioning to low carbon and sustainable future. Some countries are already inventing the electric buses. I've seen Rwanda and partly at a low scale Uganda doing that. So this financial will help us implement and achieve our global climate goals and commitments. But also we have countries that are vulnerable communities that we call either developing, but I used vulnerable communities. So since these fundings will we support this community in building resilience, against climate impacts such as rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and disruption to agriculture. Uganda was formerly known to be having 2 seasons, that is dry and wet. But now we can't even determine what the next season is. The rain rains like, if it starts raining, it rains like nothing. If it's sunny, it is hitting us like nothing. But also technology transfers. So in developing and deploying clean and sustainable technologies is crucial for addressing climate change. So therefore, climate financing will facilitate the transfer of such technologies from developed to developing countries, helping them to leapfrog to clean and more sustainable development pathways. We also have the biodiversity conservation. So climate finance supports conservation efforts and sustainable land use practices that will protect and restore the ecosystem. This financing also will encourage the private investment, which we talk about the public-private partnership, which is so vital in scaling up the implementation of sustainable and low carbon solutions. I talked about meeting global targets, global goals, but now this is global climate targets. Climate finance helps to bridge the gap between what is currently being done and what is supposed to be done. So the past, the present, and what the future is. But also, this will help us to limit global temperature rise and avoid the worst impacts of climate change, like the overheating I talked about, the overraining. So in summary, climate finance plays a pivotal role in fostering the transition to a more sustainable, resilient, and low-carbon global economy, ensuring that both the causes and consequences of climate change are effectively addressed. So the FSD Uganda did a case study with Bida Sasa in Uganda. And just adding to what I said in Uganda, Uganda is Uganda's most pressing agricultural risk are related to climate change, and also lack of ownership and control over land and resources and restrict access to financing. So the farmers would want to farm, but the land, even if we say that agriculture is the backbone in Uganda, but the land still, we have the land board that is owned by the government. So access to financing to purchase bigger land, but also the agricultural tools is still a problem. So when the Bisa Society did this case study, they looked at the women who preferred mostly the village saving and loan association, the local kind of association in the community, which could not, attract them funding maybe to be sustainable or to go smart or green, whether to buy new tools or get new land. So these guys came up with a unique business model that would help, those women go smart, but also it included leveraging mobile money technology and group lending to enable them access credit for energy saving, household equipment, and climate adaptation tools. The two key approaches were done here. That was integrating mobile money technology, which was supposed to open doors for these people to develop digital formal financing services. That means they could go to banking to bank instead of saving money at home. And also there was a tailored credit approach where they used the group reliability model. For example, if a group had saved a lot of money, they could give them a loan to buy land or buy good tools to do smart agriculture, but also life changing. For example, the real essence was to give an assistance of monies so that these people can buy life changing stoves instead of cutting down trees, etc. So with all this being said and the advantages of climate financing, and I think most of us from the first presenter, he said that a lot of financing have been released to countries which are not accountable. So my call to action after this presentation and even after the advantages of climate finance is that even before the financing, I think we need to do something in community. And to just end by what Jitoleze is doing is that we are not only doing advocacy, but also doing specialized training, where young people and women can select local value materials that degrade the environment and remake art pieces. They have polythene bags that become a hazard to the land. We pick them and make art pieces, but also the women do kitchen garden that can have the greening, but also we're thinking about advocating more for tree planting, but also setting up a lot of community demonstration gardens in every community. So as the trees are being cut, there's something that is going green. Thank you very much, team. That has been my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clyde. It was a very comprehensive presentation indeed. May we request Dr. Shahid Adebisi to kindly help us with the summary of the presentation. Thank you, Doctor. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I think, yes. Let me quickly finish up with the former presentation, and this one is going to complement that one because they are very synergetic. Yes, when I was relating the last speakers, because it's very, very essential points, he mentioned something about the most significant aspect of this very campaign is actually mitigation and adaptation. And he pinpointed the idea of a reduction from the mitigation and also the reduction of cost from the mitigation and reduction of effects on the part of the adaptation. And he went through to the final stage of the road to net zero, that is the net zero pathway from 2020 to 2050. And one key message that I want us to take away from here is that that very financing is actually focusing on different aspects, and we have the fuel electricity infrastructure and end use. He explained details about that one, and those are the needs for that very financing. And he mentioned something about the investments and also what is the trend and what are the status now. And he mentioned something about we need more like 5 times of the investment proposed that are being on now to meet up with the 2050 target. And also he concluded with this very aspect that if action is not taken very fast, the investment that maybe we are thinking that it is very huge, the loss that is going to cause is going to be more and double that very investment if we don't take action fast. That is very, very important. The investment is quite high, but if we don't meet up with that very investment very fast, the problem and the chaos and the loss that the global community is going to incur is going to be far double above that very investment. So it is better to toe the path of the investment and be safer than to delay the actions and also incur the losses. So that is the first wrap up about that. Other details, I think people will get it from the slide. And coming to Mr. Clyde's presentation, very, very smart one. He mentioned about the advantages of climate financing, and he actually pinpoint the areas that the climate financing is going to be very, very strategic, be useful. Funding of the actions on the reduction of the climate change effect or activities or the rest like that. And he mentioned that the prevention of greenhouse gas emission is very, very strategic, that investment will go into that. Then the renewable energy sources and development, research and the other facility infrastructure around this is going to be very, very strategic. And also the clean infrastructure that is going to be using natural elements of powering it is going to be very strategic. Then he went to mitigation and adaptation, where he was talking about the vulnerable communities. Yes, that is where that very financing is going to be very strategic. The vulnerable communities, not that they are the one that were causing this very problem, but because of the effect, so their terrain of the geopolitical or ecosystem is actually being impacted by that very problem. So they are very vulnerable. So that is the aspect of where the financing is going to be very strategically be useful. Then supplementing their resilience and some other solution. Then technology transfer. Technology development, technology transfer, and technology utilization. These are the aspects that the financing is going to be very useful. Then conservation, you mentioned that, and also making a very strategic point about bridging the gap about what development in the past has caused and what development at the present are causing, and what the likelihood of what the development in the future are going to cause. So this very financing is going to take care of those very strategic positions. And also, he actually ended up with the transition in the economy, because of course we have different economies that has come with the development of different ages. So definitely the new order of economy is going to be a new order, and we need to transit from the current one to the new one. So that is what the financing is going to also cater for. And finally, he draw a case of the Uganda case study about the agriculture. Exactly that is what the financing of the climate change is going to cater for, where it was he mentioned that it was a community of women in agriculture, but with little resources to actually manage a sustainable agriculture. And he mentioned what they use the financing of that very model to cater for: the energy, the infrastructure, how they will adapt to the climate actions and solutions, and also provide the land and also credit facilities. These are the model that the financing of the climate change is going to actually follow. That very model is a perfect model. If there will be any other one that will be more perfect to that. And he now mentioned about the key area of that very case study, the modeling. The model should be business-like. Then he talked about the capacity building. The people that will get involved should have the capacity to actually use it effectively, efficiently, and deliver the result. Then it talk about accountability. Accountability is very, very strategic. It's not about financing a kind of a development agenda. It is about accountable for it. And finally, it talk about advocacy. Advocacy is also very, very strategic, because information, awareness, and also dissemination and communication is very, very needed when it comes to development agenda. So these are the summary that I can quickly recap from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. That was a very detailed very detailed, very enthusiastic summary, I would say. Definitely, before handing over to the boss of the day, Ms. Ermina, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Renuka Thakor, who has joined us from GSFN. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure having you here, definitely. And I hope you will enjoy our session. It's always a pleasure. And
Thank you, Dr. Srividya. Thank you very much. I am extremely sorry for being absent for 2 sessions. This is nearly the end of that session, so I'm extremely sorry. And I must be like, I appreciate the enthusiasm of all the partners coming together and leading, and especially congratulations to Srividya that she is leading this with very great enthusiasm. And I am very proud again to be a part of this whole consortium, which here you are, like IGEN, IIU, and others. So I'm thankful for all of us, like, to come together and do this big thing. I want to give only 2 or 3 announcements before I again leave, because today I'm having my guest here, so I'm a bit busy. And then you can continue. I will hear the session fully, but may not be able to speak. Now in coming this year, we have grown a lot, and with all these partners, we are doing immensely very good, of course, knowledge exchange and capacity development. And because this is especially focused on youth, I want to give an announcement that we are going to run a very big project throughout the year, and that is going to start with Soil Summit in Pakistan. And we are going to have it hybrid. So those who are in Pakistan and those who can afford with time and money and all that can be in person, but rest of us can join virtually. So we are going to have Zoom, and we are going to also open several breakout rooms. So each one can get into the breakout room and have personal meetings. So it would be a lot of networking and so on. Now in this summit, it is going to be 7-day summit, half day of opening and half day of closing. So 1 day is over, but the rest of the 6 days, we are going to have 24 streams, and each stream will run for 4 hours, and 12 streams will be hosted by Pakistan, and 12 other streams, parallel streams, will be hosted for Global South. And each stream of Global South will be hosted by 1 country, meaning that we will have 13 countries all together working towards this capacity development and disseminating the work. At the same time, now we are not going to finish this by just 1 event, but we will continue such events every month. So first month is Pakistan, February is Egypt, March we have Kenya, April we have Uganda, and in 5th month we have Brazil, then we have my mistake, April we have Nigeria, and then in again on 7th month, July, we have Uganda, and so on. So we are going to have a full range of global networking, and plenty of things will coming out of it, because we are not only focusing on Soil Summit, as the name says that we are focusing on soil, but it is not only soil, but it is whole system change. Along with it, it would be build environment, finance, capacity development, mitigation and adaptation, and all the areas. So I will share like I have already shared few things with our GSFN in their emails. But if other partners are interested, we would like to also invite them to this. Again, it is free and online. And because it also gives you a year-long program, you can set yourself, and we will be giving a chairship to each one who leads on that program. So that is how we are trying to motivate and encourage people. And it is all about local capacity development throughout the global south. So that is what I wanted to tell here today. And I'm going to soon produce some video and slides, which I will be happy to share with everyone. So thank you very much, Srividya, for listening to me. And please continue with your program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. It's so nice to hear that we are going global. That's really brilliant. And that's where the whole rational is all about. Thank you. May I have my partner, my boss for the day, Ms. Ermi here?
Yes, boss, I am here, my dear.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. I want also to welcome Dr. Renuka.
So who are you planning to welcome next, Ms. Ermi?
Yes.
Who are you
She
planning
was
to
a big
welcome?
support in Let's Plant Around the World. Dr. Renuka, well.
That's right. Yeah, Mr.
Yes.
Suresh has joined the session. And also,
Yes,
like,
Mr. Suresh, if is there.
Suresh is there. Ms. Haripriya is also waiting. People from India should be given the first place because it's in India. It's nearing midnight. I'm sorry, night.
Yes, it's
So,
almost 8.
It's almost 8.
Dr. Suresh,
are you too? Mr. Suresh.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Great.
You're audible.
Let me introduce you.
Yes.
Dr. Suresh Sestari is a student, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute Partner, iGen. Welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for introducing me. So, shall I share my screen now?
You can share your screen. Yeah, please.
Okay, ma'am. So, as everyone can see,
we are able to
Suresh
see your screen. You can go in for a slideshow. Yes, you did. If you want, you can
Yeah.
keep your camera on. Please go ahead. Please scrupulously maintain the
Okay,
time
ma'am.
limit as we have a lot of speakers who are pending. That's all right.
Okay, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I'm Suresh Seshadri from Dr. MGR University. So, I'm going to talk about financing the complex transition to clean, renewable energy. So, first we're going to see an introduction about this topic is about. So, financing the complex transition to clean, renewable energy is a critical aspect of addressing climate change and achieving sustainability goals. This transition involves significant upfront costs and long-term investments in infrastructures and technologies and policy frameworks. So we're going to see some key considerations and strategies for financing this transition. So first, what are topics we're going to cover for this presentation is public-private partnerships, government incentives and policies, green bonds and sustainable financing, international cooperation, innovative financing models, risk mitigation instruments, research and development funding, education and awareness, infrastructure investment banks, carbon pricing, and lastly, technological innovation and cost reduction. So first we're going to see about public-private partnership. So as we know, everything runs by a corporate. So most of the countries may know that. So public-private partnerships are really important in this situation right now. So encourage collaboration between governments, private companies, and financial institutions to share risk and cost. So government can provide incentives and subsidies or guarantees to attract private sector investments in renewable energy projects. And next we are going to see about green bonds and sustainable financing. So issue green bonds to raise funds specifically for environmentally friendly projects, including renewable energy initiatives, and encourage financial institutions to integrate environmental, social, and governance criteria into their lending and investment decisions. So mostly in this presentation, we're mostly going to cover about the investors, crowdfunding, and many things. So because we need funds to develop the renewable energy across the world. So next we're going to see about international cooperation. So facilitate global collaboration and financial support for clean energy projects, especially in developing countries where the need for sustainable energy is very high because we are running out of fossil fuels, as we all know. So leverage international organizations climate funds, and bilateral agreements to pool resources. So next we're going to see is innovative financing models. So explore new financing models such as energy performance contracts. So contracts can be given by government to private. So many, like we need to explore new financing models though. Next, where private companies invest in and operate energy projects and are paid based on performance. So next is consider crowdfunding and community financing for smaller scale renewable energy. So as we can see that for many governments, big sectors like that, government, private, they need contracts. But for smaller scale renewable energy projects, mostly the crowdfunding and community financing is the only way to get through this. So next we're going to see about risk mitigation instruments. Develop and implement financial instruments like insurance and guarantees so that the risk associated with so we can deal with the risk associated with renewable energy investments. So enhance credit enhancement mechanism to make project more attractive to the investors. So we have to make such an enhancement and we have to make a stable outline so that the investors can be attracted. So next, research development and research and development funding. Allocate resources for research and development to drive innovation in clean energy technologies, making them more cost effective and scalable. So as we can see in the graph, generally taken that sources of research and development funds. So first we're going to see about crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is majorly like 12.9%. Federal government grants are 32.9%. Industrial grants 23.5%. Internal resources is it's majority 64.7%. Licensing of IP is 5.9%. Philanthropic grants is 11.8%. State grants is 24.7%, and others are like 10.6%. So this is the data taken generally. So generally, encourage the collaboration between public and private entities in research initiatives. So we have to encourage the collaboration so that the renewable energy projects can be done and research also can be done through this. So next, education and awareness. So education is the key or important role for the renewable energies, because we all know that students, investors are the main goal for our future world. So increase the public awareness and understanding of the benefits of renewable energy, fostering support for policies and projects. Educate investors and financial institutions about the long-term economical and environmental advantages of clean energy investments. Next, infrastructure investment banks. So we can see all like Asian Development Banks, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So many European banks, many banks are infrastructure investment banks. These are some examples. So these are just few banks which are helpful across the world. Then, so establish or leverage existing infrastructure investment banks to focus specifically on the financing clean energy project. Mobilize funds from various sources, including private and public sectors. So next we're going to see about carbon pricing. So as we know, because of the low fossil fuels and low carbon, the prices are increasing. So that's what we're going to talk about. Implement the carbon pricing mechanisms to internalize the external cost of carbon emission, making clean energy more competitive in the market. So as the price for the carbon and fossil fuels, the prices increase, the competitive for the clean energy will be very high, so that many can import e-vehicles, then many filtering systems. So many things to the electricity, and even electricity can be without coal. So there are many energy developments. So next we're going to see about technological innovation and cost reduction. So support ongoing technological innovation to reduce the overall cost of renewable energy technologies, making them more economically viable. So, as we can see to the graph, that we can see as the time goes from how the technological innovation, the cost reduction have been went through in the graph. Next, conclusion. Financing the transition to clean renewable energy requires a multifaceted approach involving governments, private sector entities, financial institutions, and international cooperation. By combining various strategies and leveraging innovative financing models, it is possible to make sustainable energy solutions more accessible and accelerate the global shift towards a cleaner and greener future. So thanks for everyone. Thank you for everyone to listen my speech. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. That was a brilliant presentation. Thank you so much. May we request Dr. Lakshmi or Dr. Lakshmi or Dr. Zahira from IGEN? Dr. Lakshmi or Dr. Zahira? Or can we open it to the floor? Anybody can summarize this presentation, please. Dr. Virginia? Yes, doctor. Thank you.
Yes, sure. Thank you. I think that again and again in each one of the presentations, we're seeing how we need a multifaceted approach to really address green financing. But I think that one of the really important things that he brought to perspective that we have not heard before is risk mitigation, and that they create these products that will protect the investment. So I think that again and again, we're seeing different aspects of it, but the fact that he talked about effective risk mitigation in renewable energy products is so important, because things will evolve and some things will work and others won't. But nobody will really take the risk if there's not a product that will back up or protect us. So I think that that aspect we had not heard before, and I think that it was right on point. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia. Thank you so much. Yes, moving ahead, Madam Ermina, whom are we going to call next?
Yes, I'm here. I'm thinking to welcome Dr. Haripriya. If he's there, Dr. Haripriya, are you here?
Yes, Haripriya.
Yes, ma'am.
You are here?
Ready?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Yes, let me introduce you. She's a student on biotechnology, member IGEN, partner IGEN. Welcome.
Huh?
Yes.
If you can open your camera.
Actually, my camera is not working.
You don't need to open your camera. You can open your presentation if you can.
Okay, ma'am.
Presentation.
Ms. Haripriya, do you have a problem? Then we can call the next speaker, and then by the time you'll be ready.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Ms. Ermina, whom do we choose next?
I wish to call Mr. Samrendra Das. If he's here.
If he's here, Mr. Samrendra Das.
Bangura.
I don't see Mr. Samrendra Das here. And so we'll go ahead with Mr. Bangura.
No, and I think just Miss Haripriya we have for presentation.
Mr. George
is
here.
Someone else?
I'm ready as
Is my
well.
voice audible, ma'am? I'm Zahira.
Yes, yes, doctor, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am. Can I summarize Suresh presentation, ma'am?
Yeah.
Next speaker is ready.
Okay, fine. Let's keep it very short, ma'am. We finished the summary with Dr. Virginia because you were not able to come online.
Sure, ma'am.
But still, we'll do that with you. Let's keep it very short. By the time, if Haripriya, if you can catch up quickly, please.
Yeah, if Haripriya is ready, she can proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Zahira, please go ahead.
Okay. So actually, Suresh, your presentation is very well. So you have presented with the financing the complex transition to clean and renewable energy. So he very nicely started with how the public and private can partner and collaborate for the clean and renewable energy and how make the changes in the climate. And also he has very well said that how the government can give incentives to improve this renewable energies, and also he explained about how the investors can come forward and raise funds to give a mini and micro grids to start the clean and green energy funding. And he then continued with how the international collaboration can be done and how the bilateral agreements can be done to get pooled resources and to get global collaborations and financial supports for the clean energy projects, especially in developing countries. So it's very well explained by Suresh, and then he also came for an innovative methods. So nowadays the projects are upcoming by the youngsters, that is we are having a college students and researchers. So if there is a funding agencies to sponsor them to get a good funding, then we can get a good outcome from that. And rather than this, we are also having a risk management. So to overcome this risk management, we have to go for the insurance and guarantees to avoid this renewable energy risk. She also explained about many research grants and having a developing funding. So he listed a few of the research grants, and also he insisted that the education institution should have the awareness for this benefit of renewable energy, fostering the support for policies and projects. So his explanation is very well. Congratulate Suresh for his presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And yeah, moving ahead, Ms. Armina, I think we should try for Mr. Alimani James Bankura. Mr. Alimani James Bankura, are you around? If you can start your presentation.
Mr. Alimani James, are you there?
Okay, we'll wait for him to join. And Haripriya, are you ready? Can we go ahead with you?
We can go to Mr. George.
Yeah, I'm just trying. Ms. Haripriya. Yes, Mr. George, I think you should go on. By the time the others will be ready.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. George. Please go.
We can go to Mr. George.
Ms. Armina will introduce you, and then
Haripriya, Mrs. Haripriya will manage the problem with network. Mr.
Can we have the introduction for Mr. George, please, Ms. Armina?
Of course, Mr. George, Foreign Ministry.
We lost Ms. Armina here. Okay, Mr. George, we welcome you to present. Mr. George Perkilis Heliotis. Hope I'm getting your name right. The law student from UCL.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Let me introduce. I don't know if I was here. I was here.
No, we lost you in between. Please go ahead, Ms. Armina.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. George. The platform is yours. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a very small request. Let's
yes,
respond to the timing.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to your amazing conference. It's amazing to be hearing perspectives from colleagues who are at the front of climate change challenges. Today, I'm here to present you a proposal that my colleagues and I drafted as a result of consultations from youth and environmental organizations who work on finance. Our proposal is named Blue Horizons. It's our own proposal, our own policy for accelerating access to climate and disaster reduction finance, as we see that international organizations often have deadlocks and are not able to support the countries who are at the forefront of these challenges. So let me jump into the proposal. The Blue Horizons project is an initiative inspired by the EU Recovery and Resilience Fund after the COVID crisis, which initiated rapid finance support for member states. Also, it financed small-scale projects with important developmental impact. So I would like to go to the main points. So the main focus is the Global South Climate Finance Accelerator proposal, as it is imperative for climate action in the Global South to be financed accordingly and adequately. So the key components of the program are streamlined access to finance, as our program envisions a mechanism for expedited access to climate finance, reducing bureaucratic barriers that have often impeded timely implementation of projects. Also, we focus on capacity building initiatives, as we would like to empower proposals and purposes targeted on programs that build the capacity of nations in the Global South in order to ensure effective utilization of financial resources for sustainable projects. And I think the most important part is the risk mitigation fund. We need to recognize the importance of attracting private investments and public investments from this initiative, as it would introduce a dedicated risk mitigation fund, which would foster a conducive environment for increased private sector participation in sustainable ventures. Also, these programs is strategically aligned with our own sensitive considerations and strategic considerations, as our country is in a good geographic position. We have ample sun, wind, so renewables are a focus and a priority for government and the private sector as well. So one of the key points of this section is regional collaboration. As a strategic energy hub in the Eastern Mediterranean, our country has actively championed regional collaboration. And this is a model that we would like it seeing being replicated in other regions of the world, as climate change is not a national phenomenon, it's a planetary phenomenon that poses a significant risk to everyone's way of life and prosperity. This initiative is also aligned with European Union proposals, which underscores our commitment to collaborative frameworks, leveraging the strength of collective efforts for a sustainable future. Also, bilateral partnerships are an important part of this, and this is something that we will work on as we lobby for the program on civil society organizations, on upcoming UN draft resolutions. We need to take a multifaceted and multidimensional approach towards the implementation of this initiative. Also, our program, of course, is not confined by borders. It's a global endeavor with far-reaching impacts. We emphasize on the points of equitable resource distribution, as we want to stand as a beacon of equitable resource distribution and ensure that funds are allocated based on needs and priorities rather than disproportionate factors or political factors. An important aspect of dealing with climate change is technological and policy transfer, as this initiative supports the transfer of sustainable technologies, emphasizing on the global sharing of expertise to uplift the nations who are in need, fostering a more interconnected and collaborative world. Resilience and adaptability are also important factors of our initiative, as Blue Horizons emphasizes on building resilience and adaptability, acknowledging that environmental challenges are dynamic and require proactive, flexible solutions on a global scale. So our next steps will be to lobby for the implementation of the program, as we would like to engage in diplomatic endeavors, acknowledging the necessity of garnering support and building alliances. Blue Horizons will actively engage in diplomatic efforts to ensure its integration into international agendas. We will also take the same steps during bilateral consultations, engaging with key stakeholders to address concerns most important, to gather insights and tailor the initiative according to diverse perspectives and needs. We will also, in the upcoming months, conduct expert briefings or participate in them as well. which through them we would like to provide and get in-depth insights into technicalities and foster better understanding and support among decision makers and stakeholders. Public and private collaboration is also a strategic aspect of the program, as by forging collaborations with private entities, our program endeavors to amplify its impact, turning visions into actionable projects through a combination of public and private resources. Okay. Our strategic alignment with the program is to conduct collaboration platforms on a regional basis. So we will propose the establishment of regional collaboration mechanisms and platforms involving Greece and other EU member states with countries in the global south. These platforms can facilitate knowledge exchange, joint initiatives, and resource sharing for a sustainable development. Also, we will advocate for the specific partnerships between the EU and the countries in the global south, focusing on finance mechanisms, green technologies, renewable energy, and sustainable practices, with Greece playing a central role in fostering these connections. This is my presentation. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
Thank you, Mr. George. That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. We would like to invite Dr. Amarnath Mishra, who has joined us from Amity University as one of the panelists.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Srividya. Very nice presentation. Very nice presentation. And yes, if you are talking about social and economic impacts in climate finance advantage, so this is very important. So socially, if we have faith on such type of things where we can also improve the environment and we can attach with nature, that is beneficial. And financially, we will also gain, because such type of climate changes going on changes the environment and the persons suffering from many things. So we can also prevent and we can also enhance our economic need. Thank you for a nice presentation. George, thank you very much.
Doctor, if I may very quickly add that in our country, we have a national project at the moment called Greco Islands. The Greco Islands are, we take small islands with small populations and we try to turn them green. Small-scale projects such as these have had impressive results, such as zero electricity bills, of course, zero emissions, improvements in the quality of life. These small-scale projects could be implemented in other parts of the world as well, if they are coordinated, of course.
Oh, thank you, George. Thank you very much. As for the forensic aspect, when I'm talking about climate change, I'm also talking about environmental forensics. So there is also, intentionally people involving to damage the climate, damage the environment, damage the air quality, damage the water quality, water pollution is there. So such type of things need to prevent, and there is a proper law required in each country. And developing countries also suffering because during the process of developing, so what happened, there is industry and other factories, waste product also going in water, also that comes through the soil to the crops, and person also going to infected by many diseases, and also there is organic pollutants. So we need to prevent, and there is also required the small as well as a big project to solve such type of issues. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amarnath Mishra. That was very kind of you. And thanks for the insight.
Can I speak something?
Yes, Dr. Renuka.
I raised my hand, but I don't think anyone has realized, so I had to intervene. So thank you very much. Yes, George, thank you for giving us this presentation and also highlighting that this big thing is going on. But when I looked at this project, I was a bit confused. So is it focused on just US or the small projects, as you mentioned? Are they, how, I mean, it is sourced? And also, I would like to understand the scope of Blue Horizon.
Thank you, Doctor. We will begin through EU and Global South cooperation, prioritizing on a regional basis as each region faces risks and catastrophes on different scales. So at the moment, we are conducting consultations with stakeholders in the South, the Global South, the countries who are at the front of climate change. And we will prioritize in the upcoming months. You know, climate change is a massive risk with many technical aspects. I'm a lawyer personally. I'm not aware of the more scientific aspects of it, but we will prioritize on a regional basis, create a flow of information to address specific needs. Of course, our reach and scope is global, and we're focused more on EU and Global South cooperation. I do not have any, how can I say it, comments or contacts with the US. And I think that it's not a priority of the US at the moment to address climate change in the developing world, sadly, of course.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can take it as a private meeting. Please, I have given you, or I will write down my email address and we can meet, because as I mentioned earlier that we are having this every month. We are going to have summits in Global South countries, and we would like you to be one of there to have this understanding, or maybe you can have plenty of connections. So I won't take much time here, but we can connect. Okay, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka, and thank you, Mr. George. That was wonderful. I'm sure you will be able to elaborate more on our net zero session, which is going to come forward. Thank you. Dr. Virginia, would you like to add on to that? Anything to add on? Can we move ahead, Dr. Virginia?
I think that, thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to say, I want to congratulate this particular presentation because it's actually talking about strategies that are being put into work, right? And how we are really uniting the European countries and how we're actually taking action. An accelerator is actually an organization or a company that helps us expand or move forward in this project. So I want to congratulate you, George, for doing this, because I think that we need to understand that it's not only talking about what we would like to see, we actually have to put strategies that are already working together. I am from the US, and you're absolutely right. It is a pity that many times we don't see climate change as a big important factor, but I do want to let you know that as individuals and as organizations, we do. Maybe the government may not, but as people, we all realize how important it is to take care of the only planet that we have. And I have to tell you that there are a lot of projects going into effect, especially organizations like yours that use strategies and actually move forward. So I, again, very, very happy with your presentation because it was very complete and it really helps us understand where we stand and how we can all impact and take part. So thank you again, George.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Virginia, and thank you, Mr. George. It was wonderful having you here. As I said, you will be able to elaborate more on during our net zero session. Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Over to the boss of the day, Ms. Armina, Ms. Haripriya. Ms. Armina, can you please introduce Ms. Haripriya so that she can go ahead?
Yes, Ms. Haripriya, you can. You are welcome. Ms. Haripriya is student on biotechnology, member IGEN, partner IGEN. Welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Armina. Yes, Ms. Haripriya, you can go ahead now. Thank you. We've got two more speakers, so I request everyone to stick on to the time schedule as far as possible. Thank you.
my screen visible?
Your screen is loading. It's not even loading, dear.
Ma'am, no, ma'am. Ma'am, now my screen is visible?
No, dear, not yet. Yeah, now it is. It is loading.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Haripriya from Pratham College. I am here to present about the topic climate finance advantage by tracking the social and economic impact.
It's still loading.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, it's loading. I think you have severe net issues there.
No, ma'am. Now, okay, madam. Now can you see?
It's still loading. Okay.
Now can you
can introduce yourself, Ms. Haripriya. Let's see what comes up.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Ms. Haripriya from Pratham College. I'm member of IGN. Now let us see about I'm here to explain about the topic climate finance tracking by tracking the social and economic impact. And here I'm going to discuss about the topics climate finance, the importance of development impacts in climate finance, what are the benefits of economic development, what are the benefits of social development, how does social development support people and programs. Climate finance. First, generally, we can know about the definition of climate finance. Climate finance refers to local, national, or transnational financing drawn from public, private, and alternative sources of financing that seeks to support mitigation and adaptation actions that will address climate change. Climate finance is needed for mitigation because large-scale investments are required to significantly reduce emissions. This is the diagram for climate finance. COP means COP abbreviation is Conference of the Party. Conference of the Party abbreviation is Standard Committee on Finance.
Ms. Haripriya, I'm sorry to interrupt. Your screen is not loaded, so we are not able to view your screen. You can just elaborate on the topic. Hope you agree? Dr. Zahira, ma'am, is that fine?
Haripriya can able to load it.
Yes, ma'am.
Or shall I present for you?
And I'll share again.
You can still elaborate on the topic, Ms. Haripriya. Yes, now it's visible.
COP means Conference of the Party. Conference of the Parties means Standard Committee on Finance. UNFCCC abbreviation is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Finance. This convention main objective is to stabilize greenhouse gas concentrations at a level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic human-induced interference with the climate system. This diagram graph depicts climate finance architecture in India. In union budgets, budgetary support to national missions, budgetary support to other climate strategies. State budget, climate funds means NCF, NAF, NDRF, and CAMP. It is funded by unit budget and sector. Private climate finance, CDM, debt finance, private equity, venture capital. International climate finance, multilateral funds, bilateral funds, international private finance. This is the graph which depicts international climate finance. Global total climate finance is approximately 340 to 650. All financial flows from developed countries approximately 40 to 75. It flows to developing countries through public institutions. It's approximately 35 to 50. Other official flows approximately 14 to 15. MDB finance approximately 15 to 23. climate-related ODA 26, multilateral climate finance, 3.4, UNFCCC funds, 1.2. This is the climate finance day. Less than 3% of global climate finance currently flows to Africa. The bank is working closely with the key international climate funds as well as other partners to scale up climate finance on the African continent and to strengthen African institutions to directly access climate funds. This is the climate finance. Recently, in the 8th ministerial meeting of the US-India Economic and Financial Partnership, climate finance has been discussed for the first time. Climate finance is generally refers to public, private, and alternative financing that is used to support mitigation and adaptation efforts to address climate change. Large financial resources are required to adjust to the negative effects of climate change. Climate finance and UNFCCC. UNFCCC established a financial framework to give financial resources to developing nations. The Kyoto Protocol Adaptation Fund intends to finance concrete projects and programs. Climate financing in India. National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change was established in 2015 to meet the cost of adaptation to climate change. National Clean Energy Fund was created to promote clean energy. Global Environment Fund. Global Environment Fund has served as an operating entity of the financial mechanism since the UNFCCC came into force in 1994. What activities does Climate Finance Fund? According to the latest biennial report from the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, global climate change reached $681 billion, and the categories that received the most investment include climate change resilience, energy efficiency, sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, conservation of biodiversity, climate change mitigation, sustainable transport, adaptation to climate change. Uses of climate finance. Mitigation efforts. The large majority of climate finance USD 93 billion out of USD 97 billion is used for mitigation measures, mostly for capital investments in mitigation measures like renewable energy. Most of the financing USD 55 billion out of $93 billion from the private sector in the form of capital investment. Bilateral and multilateral institutions USD 19 billion and USD 14 billion respectively. Funds contribute USD 2.2 billion. The offset market provides USD 2.2 billion of incremental cost financing. Voluntary or philanthropic contributions are estimated to provide USD 240 million, slightly more than their contribution to adaptation. Adaptation receives a small share of about USD 4.4 billion. Adaptation is predominantly financed through bilateral institutions USD 3.6 billion out of USD 4.4 billion. Multilateral institutions USD 475 million and voluntary or philanthropic USD 210 million, and a relatively small share USD 65 million is provided by dedicated funds. This is the graph which depicts a global landscape of climate finance 2023, and this is also a graph which depicts a global landscape of climate finance 2023. This is the graph which represents climate finance which occurred in 2023. This is the graph which depicts India needs over $900 billion in climate finance. Climate finance in developing countries. This is the graph which depicts climate finance in developing countries. So climate finance for developing countries is rising. Climate finance provided and mobilized by developed countries in billions. So in 2013, climate finance was 52.2, 2014, 61.8, 2016, 58.6, 2017, 71.2, 2018, 78.9, and 2022 is the boom. And this is the social and economic impact of climate change. The cost of adapting coastal areas to rising sea levels, loss of the capacity to work due to heat, more work to gain access to limited resources, fresh water will be in short supply in some areas, relocation of coal towns, shrinking productivity of harvest, prices of basic foodstuffs and consumer goods will rise, extreme meteorological phenomena will cause widespread poverty, diseases will spread due to higher temperatures. This is the climate finance sources, bilateral as part of ODA, multilateral, World Bank, ADB, etc., domestic allocations within the context of UNFCCC private. So these sources or combined, and if these sources are combined, we can get developing countries. And sources of climate finance, there are 4 types of sources: public sector, private sources, multilateral sources, and carbon markets. Same, that's only here. And sources of funding, there are 4 major sources: private, medium, and carbon offset markets, public, official aid and policy money, global capital markets, institutional investors, high net worth individuals and leading institutions, multilateral. Uses of funding, enabling policies, legislation, institutions and markets, adaptation and mitigation, catalyze transformational private and public investment and department programs, low carbon technologies, renewable energy, energy efficiency, industry, transport, building, terrestrial carbon, agriculture and forestry, climate resilience practices, agriculture, support research, development and deployment of new technologies. The importance of development impact in climate change. Evidence shows that pursuing low emission and climate resilience growth is the best way to unlock lasting socio-economic and environmental benefits. To help expand the knowledge base in this area, CIF launched a new workspace in 2019 called Social and Economic Development Impacts of the Climate Finance. It is aimed at better understanding and reporting of social and economic development impacts linked to CIF climate programs. Social impacts are experienced by people or community. The social impacts are health and safety, livelihoods, wealth and quality of life, access to essential services. Economic impacts contribute to economic growth. The economic impacts are employment opportunities, economic value added, GDP means gross domestic product. Environmental impacts conserve or protect natural resources. Environmental impacts are water, ecosystems and biodiversity, soils and crop productivity. Market impacts contribute to systemic improvements. Market impacts are energy sector security and resilience, competitiveness and industrial development, inclusiveness and energy justice. What are the benefits of economic development? An economic development policy can be beneficial and can provide industry leaders with the information to invest in low tax and high opportunity properties, increase quality of life, job creation, tax revenue, better infrastructure, attracts investment, supports local economy, independence from government. What are the benefits of social development? Social development seeks to improve the ability of people disadvantaged on the basis of their identity to take part in society. The World Bank focuses on social inclusion at every stage of result-based climate finance programming, from upfront engagement and investment in communities to enable their participation in emissions reduction activities. How does social development support people and programs? Social development in emission reduction programs is about ensuring marginalized communities and disadvantaged groups have a voice in the planning and implementation of initiatives and equal access to benefits. These groups are motivated to maintain or achieve high quality emission reductions that pass rigorous verification processes. Well-defined inclusive emission reduction programs give marginalized communities. Emission reduction programs also generate non-carbon benefits. Conclusion: there is still time to avoid the worst impacts of climate change if we take strong action now. The scientific evidence is now overwhelming. Climate change is a serious global threat and it demands an urgent global response. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haripriya. I have a question here. Ms. Haripriya, I could understand that you are a student.
Yes, ma'am.
So, which is the course that you're doing and which is the level?
BSc Biotechnology, ma'am.
BSc Biotechnology, first year?
No, ma'am, third year.
Third year. So you are 19 years old now.
No, ma'am, 21.
21, okay. Yes. But still, for a 21-year-old, that was a very powerful presentation.
Thank you.
And I wish next time, if you can be a little audible and little louder. So the main thing is the purpose of this forum is to communicate the message that our purpose, our presence here, our support is to reach your voices to where it has to be heard. So I wish, and I would really love to have you for the forthcoming sessions, being you much louder and more bold enough to present. And definitely it was a wonderful presentation, Haripriya. It had all its content, and also you did not give up. He was so resilient saying that, ma'am, I will present. I will present. Just give me a chance. That time I had internet problem. So it was really motivating, not only for you, but for us too. Thank you. Thanks for having you here on this forum. It was wonderful. And may I welcome Madam Zakira to give us a summary of this presentation. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
So Haripriya, your presentation was very well. You have presented on climate finance advantage by tracking the social and economic impacts. So you have very well explained, started with large scale investments and requirements to significantly reduce the emissions. So it is a very good topic you have started with. And then you have also given the climate finance architecture in India by mentioning the union budget, state budgets, and also the climate funds which is allotted in India. And then you also explained very well about the international finance which is allotted in billions for our climate finance. So you also pointed out how this finance are funding. So different activities like climate change resilience, and they are supporting the sustainable transports, and they are also used for renewable energies, sustainable agriculture, energy efficiency. So like various fields they are having a funding. So very well pointed out. And also you have pointed out the uses of this climate fund. So majority of this climate fund in US, they are using 93 billion US dollars out of $97 billion for mitigating these measures. So this is mostly for capital investment in mitigating measures like renewable energy. So it is very well explained by you. And then also the financial graph, what you have explained from 2012, it is $364 billion, and now by 2022 and 2023, it is increased to $1,000 billion. It is a drastic change for this 10 years. And also you have explained that by 2030, our target of India need to be $900 billion to be financed for this climate change itself. So it will be a great change for these developing countries. And also as a climate supporters, we have to support this. And also it should be pointed out to the researchers to make low carbon technologies and to invest more in R&Ds. So if investors come forward to do this, then we can easily obtain this, so that we will have a benefits of increased job, quality of life, better infrastructures, and we can have a support of a local economy, and we can have an independent from government to have a better infrastructure for this electricity, sir. Thank you, Haripriya, for concluding this, and concluding that you also explained that climate change is a serious global threat nowadays. So we as you as youngsters, and we have to support this, and we have to make this clear in future. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Zakira, and thank you, Ms. Haripriya. Really appreciate it. Thank you. May we have some few words from Dr. Virginia, please?
Well, thank you. And this is very short and very sweet. I want to say that obviously our topic is financing green and making sure that it's all allocated to climate change. But you said something that's very important, and it's social development and how that really impacts. So I want to keep that on the parking lot and really think about how our social development and the investment in social development is so important. It could go well, or it could be very negative. So we need to make sure, because through social development, we create consumption patterns, urbanization, education, and awareness. There are different things. So not only money to really help us in that area, but also how do we impact people and the way people do things. So thank you so much for such a thorough presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia. Yes. That was a very quick and quintessential summary. Thank you, Dr. Virginia. Thank you. Over to the boss of the day, Madam Ermina. So are we going to fish around now?
I'm here.
Yes,
I think all the speakers was today was here, and we can ask some summarize
we can open the
of
forum
the day.
We still have not covered one particular pointer. That's COP in measuring, reporting, verifying, and extending support provided to developing countries. So is there anyone who would like to take the pointer? That is
maybe
COP.
Is here Bishnu? Dr. Bishnu is here. Maybe
Dr. Bishnu is here in measuring and reporting, verifying, and extending support to developing countries. Mr. Samuel Aliko, I could see a lot of messages in the message box there. Mr. Chavo is joined, so he will take up his pointer now. I think we need to invite him quickly. Mr. Chavo is the last speaker for the day, and he has joined now. He's going to speak on building resilience to climate shocks as a priority. Welcome, Mr. Daniel Chavo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Daniel, just give 2 seconds for Ms. Ermina to introduce you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Ms. Ermina?
I am here. Mr. Daniel Chavo Kiseka is co-founder and Chief Operating Officer Nutra West. Welcome. The virtual stage is yours, Mr. Daniel.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to being part of this very prestigious conference. Like mentioned, Daniel Chavo Kiseka is my name. I'm an entrepreneur. Besides working at NutraVest as co-founder and Chief Operating Officer, I double as the country representative for young professionals for our group for cultural development. That is YFAD in short. I'm the Ugandan country representative. And I'm basically going to show you why building resilience to climate shocks is a priority. Well, building resilience to climate shocks is not just an option, it is an imperative as our planet continues to face the devastating of the consequences of climate change. Sorry. The need to prioritize resilience has never been greater. Climate shocks such as extreme weather events, rising temperatures, and sea level rise pose significant threats to our environment, economy, and communities. In order to mitigate the impacts of these shocks and ensure a sustainable future for generations to come, we must come to proactive measures to build resilience. Resilience refers to the ability of a system or community to withstand and recover from the shocks and stresses. It is about adapting to changing conditions and bouncing back stronger in the face of adversity. Building resilience to climate shocks requires a multifaceted approach that addresses both the mitigation and adaptation aspects of climate change. On the mitigation front, we must prioritize reducing greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning to clean and renewable sources of energy. By decreasing our reliance on fossil fuels and embracing sustainable practices, we can mitigate the severity and frequency of climate shocks. This includes investing in the renewable energy infrastructure, improving energy efficiency, and promoting sustainable land use practices. However, even with the best mitigation efforts, climate shocks are inevitable. That is why adaptation is equally important. We need to invest in infrastructure and technologies that can withstand extreme weather events, such as resilient buildings, flood control systems, and climate-resilient agriculture. Additionally, we must enhance our early warning systems and disaster response capabilities to ensure swift and effective action in times of crisis. Furthermore, building resilience is not a task that can be accomplished by governments or organizations alone. It requires collective action and collaboration at all levels, from individuals and communities to businesses and governments. We must engage in knowledge sharing, innovation, and partnerships to develop and implement effective resilience strategies. And most importantly, there is more need for funding to facilitate the implementation of green projects in least developed countries. It is therefore a major requirement for donors and intermediaries to create a financial model that delivers adequate grant-based funding to local organizations for they are on the front line of climate change. This calls for greater flexibility in budgets with scope to change budgets mid-project in case of unforeseen events like political insecurity or climate disasters like flooding, which need quick response. If there is no flexibility to redirect resources, communities can't respond, which links to why donors need to be connected to projects to get a clear idea of realities on ground to be able to see why project budgets need more flexibility. Climate action is everyone's responsibility, and if we are to build a world with friendly climate, youth innovations and actions have to be put at the front line, allowing us to lead the revolution and change the mindset that we are the leaders of tomorrow to the real fact that our leadership has already started and we are the leaders of today. In this regard, allow me to introduce to you a project that is combining access to real-time weather information for early warnings and agriculture insurance for adaptation and resilience for farmer communities against climate events in Uganda. The project is titled Community-Led Adaptation Solutions for a Sustainable and Resilient Development Under a Changing Climate and Environment. In short, it is regarded as Class Red. When I gave you a background of Africa and Uganda and Africa at large, Africa and Uganda agricultural system is heavily dependent on small-scale farmers, and it is mainly rain-fed. Therefore, the prevailing impacts of climate change, which are characterized by erratic seasonal rainfall onset amounts and cessation, makes it difficult for small-scale farmers to adapt to climate change, which weakens their capacity to survive the impacts. Government efforts are in place to provide the farmers with timely climate information so that they can plan better their farm management activities. However, the forecast does also sometimes fail facilitating the farmers with capacity to adapt to climate change. Therefore, extra efforts to increase farmers' resilience to climate change through additional solutions like agriculture insurance will be provided. In Uganda, Nutravis, a private company which represents the farmers and their interest, is leading a consortium of partners who include the Ugandan National Meteorological Authority, which we regard as UNIMA, Nutravest, the Agro Consortium, ClimDev, and Uganda Meteorological and Allied Professionals Association, in short, regarded through as UMAPA, to implement this project in which farmers adopt using new climate change solutions to adapt to climate change. The project focuses on any of the following major insurance schemes. The first insurance scheme is known as the index-based insurance. The index-based insurance is based on specific indices such as weather parameters, like rainfall and temperature, satellite data, or vegetation indices to determine the extent of crop loss instead of assessing individual farm level losses. Index-based insurance simplifies the claims by linking compensation to index values, which represent the overall crop performance. The other scheme that we'll focus on is the multi-peril insurance. This is a kind of insurance that bundles together multiple coverages that typically would be needed with each other. The package may include multi-peril crop insurance, livestock insurance, poultry insurance, and aquaculture insurance. In a research that we made before coming up with this project, according to a report by Guetex et al. 2025, agriculture insurance has so far been practiced and adopted by small farmers, or the ones we call smallholder farmers in various countries, among which include India, Mongolia, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Kenya, and Rwanda. In their study, it is reported that farmers in these countries have adopted the agriculture insurance services, increased the allocation of funds into their agriculture enterprise inputs, and as a result, increased their profits and savings. The report further indicates that the more and more farmers adopted to the services, even without premium subsidies, the services can cater for any agriculture enterprise like crops and livestock. Therefore, agricultural insurance can as well benefit small-scale farmers from Uganda. A report by FAO 2019 in their handbook, the 2019 handbook on climate information for farming communities reveals that the success of the crop and weather insurance scheme is closely linked with the availability of climate information. The production of this climate information requires the functionality of weather stations established in the beneficiary communities. The weather data from the stations help in determining the compensation threshold for the insurance schemes and also ensure right decision making for the farm enterprise. Weather climate and forecast, weather and climate forecasting. This is another report by Holger Minke, 2010. Says it is one of the most risk management tools sometimes play an important role in decision making. The main when you look at the objectives of the ClassRed project proposal, the main objective of the proposal is to increase farmers' capacity to adapt to climate change. However, there are specific objectives that include increasing awareness of 20,000 smallholder farmers to climate solutions like agriculture insurance, increasing the number of farmers accessing weather and climate information, providing farmers with weather and climate information, enrolling farmers in agriculture insurance, increasing the number of farmers adopting to agriculture insurance by 20,000 farmers, and monitoring the use of agriculture insurance by the 25,000 farmers. Some of the outputs that we expect in this project include registering at least an 80% of the 20,000 farmers being sensitized in agriculture insurance, 85% of the 25 farmers being provided with agriculture insurance services, and 20,000 of the 80% of the 10,000 farmers will be given more access to climate and weather real-time climate information, and they will be monitored as well. Some of the main activities that will take place while the project is underway include Nutrabase leading the sensitization and training of farmers in using the climate change solutions, registering the farmers to implement the climate change solutions, and monitoring the farmers' adaptation and monitoring the farmers' adaptation to insurance services. The Uganda National Meteorological Authority, UNIMA, will install rainfall stations, make ongoing weather observations, and produce weather statistics for each community. The Insurance Regulatory Authority, which is a government agency as well, will produce and regulate the threshold for compensations. Insurance companies under the Agro Consortium will offer the premiums, and routinely the project team will evaluate the progress. The project management include Nutrabase, a private company which has established a network of 12,000 smallholder farmers in 4 and 3 regions of Uganda. Uganda has 4 regions, and we have so far been worked in 3 regions of the country. And Nutrabase will lead conducting the training of farmers in the use of climate information and agriculture insurance. The Uganda National Meteorological Authority government agency will provide the weather and climate services, among which include statistics for each beneficiary community, the rainfall stations for observations. The Insurance Regulatory Authority will provide the threshold, and then financial institutions in Uganda will have what we call SACCOs. In full, they are saving and credit cooperative societies working in hand with banks will handle the saving and credit services for the farmers. The farmers that we are going to work with are spread in 7 different districts in Uganda that include Mbale, Buyikwe, Mityana, Wakiso, Arua, Lila, and Kasese. These farmers will be monitored in the following areas: They will be monitored to see the percentage of farmers that are interested in these climate change solutions, the percentage of farmers sensitized and trained in the services, the percentage of farmers who are registered to start for the services, and the percentage of farmers who continue to use the services after the first season, the number of rainfall stations installed to monitor the rains, the number of weather forecasts provided by UNIMA, the number of users accessing the weather forecast by their mobile phones, the availability of thresholds provided by the Insurance Regulatory Authority, and the percentage of farmers who registered positive results in these services. The uniqueness of this project is that the weather and climate, real-time weather and climate data will be accessible even on phones that are called the prepaid phones, those that cannot access internet, so that they can, by just typing a few numbers, and then they can receive weather information through SMS. The project is expected to start with a pilot of 3 years, and it is expected to scale to the whole of Uganda and East Africa in the years after the pilot. The information was digested and accepted by the farmers. We took on a survey from our farmers, and we managed to get positive response. And of course, we did this project as a request from our farmers that we have worked it. Remember, NutraVest initially started by creating access to fair markets to these smallholder farmers. It is from that experience that we have earned their trust, and we have gone ahead to identify other challenges that they are facing, which include climate change, and the major challenge is the ignorance for their climate information. So we are creating knowledge to climate information and resilience as well. You may take the greatest H hands. I'll be sharing with you the links to the research books and reports that we use to combine this kind of information to come up with the class-read proposal. In my conclusion, I would say that building resilience to climate shock is not just a priority, it is a moral obligation. We owe it to ourselves, future generations, and the planet to take proactive measures to mitigate and adapt to the impacts of climate change. By prioritizing resilience, we can create a more sustainable and secure future for all. Let us act now before it's too late. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. That was a wonderful presentation, and definitely you have shared a lot of knowledge about your country and about the resilience towards the climatic adaptation and climatic finance thereby. And may I request Dr. Virginia to summarize the presentation if it's possible?
Sure. I actually very, very impressed with what NutraVest is doing in Uganda and in Africa. They are mostly an agri-tech company. So like he said, they learned a lot from what they initially did, and their focus on smallholder farmers is really important. We need to realize that if we don't have farmers, we don't have food. And if we don't have food, we don't have a planet. So it's so important that we're focusing on the right people. I think also that the fact that you're accelerating and really value chain in Africa is so important, knowing that Africa is so big and that mostly, like you said, agriculture is so important. But there are two aspects that I think that you're doing wonderfully, and I think that are key. Number one is insurance. Really providing and explaining why we need insurance, right? And making it accessible. You said 85% of the people that you serve are participating in this insurance. And that is key because we don't really know what happens with climate. You know, climate change is exactly that. And then you also talked about resilience. And I think that resilience comes with your whole weather forecasting. If we know and we're able to forecast ahead of time what's happening, we can definitely plan in real time. So there were two great things that I really captured. A lot of everything. You're doing so many best practices. So I want to congratulate the company. But I think that these are two things that we really haven't heard before, and that's weather forecasting and how important it is to get it to our farmers. And the other one is making sure that they understand why insurance is important and having access to that. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. It was great, Daniel. Thank you so much for sharing all that information.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, for that insightful presentation, and for Madam Virginia for that summing up. That was a wonderful summing up, and we could really, we learned quite a lot from you. Thank you. Well, moving ahead, I think Mr. Chikumbi is still waiting. Mr. Chikumbi, would you like to present yourself, Mr. Chikumbi? Hope everything is sorted at your end.
Yes, everything is now okay.
Okay, you can go ahead with your presentation, please. And time limit, please stick on to the time limit because...
Okay. Okay, let me share my document, my screen first. Are you able to view my screen?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Oh my God, what is going on here?
Would you like to give a summary, a synopsis of your presentation, Mr. Chikumbi?
Okay, I'm coming. Okay, so the summary.
Assisting in improving coherence and coordination in the delivery of the climatic change.
Okay, the topic I was given to present on is climate finance through climate finance advantage through the tracking of social and economic impacts, which that other presenter talked about. Yes, that's the topic on which I got prepared.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yes. So climate financing has been defined already as the allocation of funds towards projects and programs that are aimed at mitigating climate changes. So it is very, very much important knowing that the importance of this climate financing, it brings about stakeholder engagement. Yes. Then it also brings about accountability. Yes. Among these other issues. Then
I think he lost the connection.
I think he lost him there. Well, I would request Dr. Shahid Adibisi to give his insights about the whole topic. Dr. Shahid Adibisi, doctor, if you're here, would you like to give your insight about the whole program, whole topic, the climatic finance, in a short summary? Thank you.
Wow, this is a very huge task, and yes, I actually followed the presentation right from the first to the last one, and I think there are these very lessons that actually resonated within me when I was listening along, and that is the fact that there is no domain or no system or no body or no government or no existence of entity that has the embodiment of what it takes to take the world to the next level, which is the solution we are all seeking for. From each of these very presentations, from the case study to the illustration to the facts and figures, and each, there is something unique in each presentation that when we mark them together, it's going to form a very beautiful recommendation for the global community as a whole. And that is what I was even thinking that after this very session, what are we going to do with this a whole lot of information, a whole lot of recommendation, a whole lot of solution? What are we going to do with it? I think I will advise the panel and the body as the partnership to actually do maybe a documentation and submit it to different levels of the platform that are involved in this very agenda, from the UN to different countries and from diplomatic offices and the rest like that, and companies that are actually financing or driving the sustainable development issues. Because it is not enough to talk about it. It is not enough to generate this very weight of a solution and knowledge. Or taking it further, engaging them with this very discussion and even showing them most of these very presentations and inferences and cases. I think it will do us and the world of the global community a very good advantage. So that is my takeaway submission of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. Dr. Virginia, before we sum up, would you like to add on?
Okay. I think we heard in every single one of these presentations that were so well put together. So I want to congratulate mentorship, if there was any, helping a lot of the students and the ambassadors. I also want to congratulate the companies that came through and talked about what they're doing. But I think it's an urgent call to action, right? And definitely everything has an investment amount that is allotted to make things happen. Sometimes we think that money isn't everything, but unfortunately, it gives us freedom to make decisions that will really help us and be to our best interest. So definitely investing in green finance, which is what I call it. But again, climate change and investing towards that is so important. But again and again, we realize that this is a touch. Some things will. Okay, I think we have them back.
Yeah.
Sorry about it.
There we go. That's okay. We know that climate change presents financial risks. So many times when we're talking about this, countries and policymakers will not want to pursue it. And we had our George that said that the US is not interested. Obviously, that's just government because other people do. But I do understand, where do we allocate the funds in order to do research and development, to do technology advancements? All this is really to do education and awareness. So I totally think that today's topic was key for us to realize that although we think that it is somebody else's responsibility to invest in climate change, we need to realize that we are part of the solution. We need to make sure that we address our government. We need to make sure that we address our private sector. Corporations have to be responsible. Many times corporations and manufacturers are responsible for a lot of this. So we need to all come together. And I think we saw this again and again in every single one of the conclusions. There's so much to do, but one of the topics that I thought was very key is mitigation, which means how are we going to deal with this? Resilience. How are we going to get up after? We tried something, it didn't work, or something happened. How do we really help our people become resilient? Regulatory changes. We heard it again and again how countries are doing all these changes, but we need them to happen faster. And this is going towards 2030, but we're all feeling the effects of climate change. So today it was just on point. Every single presentation was key. And I want to congratulate everybody, especially you, Dr. Shabidia, because this is an important topic to take time to discuss. So thank you all for being here today because it's an investment in all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Virginia. Yes, before we move ahead, yes, that's very true. I do agree with you. When we talk about finance, people are more cautious because it's one word that revolves the whole world in its thumb. hope everybody will agree with me and such that, and also as a thumb, what's the purpose of the thumb? It brings all the 4 other fingers into the phone. So what are the factors that revolves around it? This thumb is the one which makes it happen and it brings it in the phone. So likewise, this climatic finance, the thumb, the real thumb that really make things happen, is a term that has a broad and narrow uses. Like in the broader sense, as we have seen today, this is my takeaway. Our takeaway on this platform with all the eminent speakers who have spoken for nearly about 2.5 hours now. So in its broad sense, it refers to an enterprise that uses financial institutions and technologies to advance the cause of environmental sustainability, such as by developing and deploying the use of renewable energy sources. That's what they were mentioning about. So in its narrow usage, the climatic finance refers to the transfer of the capital from the developed to developing nations in adherence to the international agreements, such as 2016 Paris Agreement. So our key takeaways of today are that the climatic finance is a broad term that can refer to either through the role of the finance in facilitating the efforts to address the climatic change or to the obligations owned by the richer nations to the poorer nations. So discussions around the climatic finance are increasing in its importance with all those graphs and presentation by graphs, and also about the strategies and the statistic data that they have been presenting as the world wrestles with the climatic changes, visible and severe effects. So the climatic finance is and the development of the renewable energy infrastructure, sustainable agriculture, and other adaptations relating to soil and water, and all other adaptations which are related to the climatic change. Last but not the least, many argue that the developed economies should subsidize the adoption of the environmental friendly energy sources by developing nations along with the other such investments. We have seen few more examples from different countries, few examples, and each one of them are presented so well. So the 2 different scenarios for each forecast is at least $113 billion to a climatic finance through 2025 was a graph that was showing about in almost about 3 or 4 of the presentation. So understanding climatic finance is that the climatic change is a long-term progression. It is for ages that we're talking about, and definitely on this platform, we have added a small fire into big one. That's what is the thing. The small spark that we have added today, it will really grow up big, and it will really make things happen. So the progression of the patterns towards the world's climate. These changes are commonly related to human activities and the use of non-renewable resources like fossil fuel. And these resources are help to raise the Earth's temperature by releasing the green gases into the atmosphere. So the climatic finance is a way for the individuals and the nation to fight the climatic change. So in the most general sense, the climatic finance refers to any type of financing used to tackle the climatic change, and the financing normally take place in municipal, national, state, and national and international and the global level, comes from various sources, both private and public. So there are 2 different scenarios that have been modeled to estimate how much money is being developed by the countries would contribute to the climatic financing initiative. One scenario estimated about $113 billion spent through 2025. Another estimates about $117 billion, which is going to be spent for the year 2025. Let's see. Keep our fingers crossed. Moving ahead. So not going into the very scrupulous data of exactly what is this dollars are about. Contributors of this climatic finance involves and summarize the whole financial institutions like banks and other intermediaries to transfer capital overseas, financial markets to price in energy commodities, and derivatives in the markets to hedge and exchange risk-related energy prices, stock exchanges and investment vehicles to facilitate investment in the renewable energy companies. So hopefully all these stakeholders who are present with us on this platform or otherwise in the community will help us to do the needful. So climatic finance encompasses all these activities which are likely to accelerate even further in the coming years. So as the term goes, more narrowing the meaning in the sense, it relates the question of how developed countries should support the developing ones in the transition towards energy sources and other technologies with the improved environmental footprints. So these discussions are not only today, and it will go on forever and ever until we reach our rational. Thank you so much. And that's the takeaway for today. Over to the boss of the day, Madam Armina. Thank you.
Congratulations for this initiative, my dear Fidia. Congratulations to all the team. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the entire team of this innovative project and to all the organizations present here, International Internship University, IIU, GSFN, IGN, USLAN, and RMD. I also want to congratulate and to all the panel of experts, Mr. Bindalal, Dr. Nada Ratkovic, Dr. Lakshmi, Dr. Temiado Adoluju, Dr. Inga Karchilava, and Dr. Zahira. Also, congratulations to all the speakers present today here, Dr. Mahomed Fahim Ahmed, Dr. Atia Hussain, to Dr. Tanush, Dr. Chilombi Muafi, even he couldn't talk, he was here present and he couldn't share, share some ideas with us, and it's very important. Natasha Ezera, Denemia Bejuliane, Clide Odiambo, Arimani James Bangura, Mr. Suresh Sestari, Samrendra Das, Dr. Vishnu Pada Bose, Miss Haridia, Venan Zamdora, Mr. George Petlis Heliots, and Mr. Daniel Chago Kiseka. Thank you. Great presentation for all of you, and thanks to also to the audience. Indeed, climate finance help countries reduce greenhouse gas emissions, such as by funding renewable power like wind or solar. It also helps community adapt to climate change impacts. Introducing climate resilient seeds, for instance, means farmers, despite droughts and other extreme weather, keep producing food and earning income. Was an idea that I like it so much. Thank you, because you was with us today, and thank you again, and congratulations, dear Shridia.
Thank you so much. So I think it was a wonderful session. I'm so happy about it. And definitely, like, I think we owe a big thanks to Ms. Armina for doing such a wonderful job today, taking up the burden from Madam Sandhya Balaji. And thank you so much, Ms. Armina. Thanks for being such a beautiful host today.
My pleasure always.
For all the audience, Dr. Virginia, you are so exclusive in your own way. I know words to express my gratitude to you. Dr. Saeed Adibisi, your presence, your presence on the screen was such a big support to us. So no words to take your inferences and your insights, and definitely it's a knowledge sharing. And all our beautiful speakers for today, they are students. I'm so proud to call myself an educationalist because I'm so passionate about education. Likewise, when as an educator, hope everybody will agree with me, almost every one of us is an educator. When we see students speaking, that gives a sense of satisfaction, such that we could see the younger generation coming up and expressing their views. That's the main rationale of this, giving an opportunity for the younger generation to voice up the views and to take them lead to do the things, to spur into action. That's what the whole forum is all about. And I think we are achieving our rationale. And I love this beautiful team. I love to work with you all, and thanks to God for giving me such an opportunity, and in gratitude always with each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Until we meet next Saturday for one more session on renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much. I express sincere thanks and gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Niranjan. Thanks for the wonderful support. Thank you so much. Thank you, Niranjan. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vishnu. Thank you, Dr. Zahira. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to each and every one of you. Each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Thanks for IIU for being such a soulful partner. I can't call you as a community partner anymore. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Madam, next topic for conference. Next topic. Next
renewable source, renewable energy resource. towards sustainability. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.